Yuri Gagarin was born in 1936 in a small village in western Russia. He lived through World War II and even had to stay inside a mud hut buried into a field because an German officer, had taken over their house. After only 6 years of education, he dropped out of school because the family was too poor. And in the post-war environment of the time, he joined a foundry, as it seemed like a decent way to earn a living. He then joined a technical school and a flying club at the weekend because he thought it was cool, loved the clothes, and thought it would impress the girls. He was even bad at flying. He kept landing too heavily and had to have extra classes. They were even considering kicking him out. Even worse, the country needed technical workers, so the prospect of having to go to Siberia and work in a foundry was real. This is what pushed him to finish the flight club with honors. This means that when he was drafted into the army, he was selected for flight school, and after 4 years had risen to the rank of lieutenant. From here, he was selected for the space program, and upon meeting the head of the program and spacecraft designer Sergei Karyalov, he spoke about his dedication. His colleagues at school also spoke up about how good he was, and then, because of his size, at just 5'7", and admired by his peers, he was selected for the first flight. This flight went ahead on the 12th of April 1961 in a spacecraft that was almost entirely automated. He hardly did anything. Yuri Gagarin was considered a hero of the Soviet Union. However, he died at the age of 34 in mysterious circumstances, and before that, he'd been depressed and drinking heavily. Why? Well, this was a different age. This was the age of the evil empire, the communist government, deep oppression, secret police, and just difficult times all round. He was a victim of the Soviet propaganda machine. As soon as he landed, his life was entirely dominated by the state. He wasn't allowed to fly because it was considered too dangerous. and he began drinking and acting erratically. In short, he was depressed. He also became a victim of political circumstances. Khrushchev was the leader of the Russian state and had supported the space race all along. However, Brezhnev, from behind the scenes, took over while Khrushchev was on holiday in a coup. He then ignored Gagarin as he was symbolic of the previous regime's success. Only after repeatedly pestering the regime and becoming a thorn in Brezhnev's side was he allowed to fly again. However, he died on his very first training flight. Declassified documents from the time showed that there was an unauthorized plane in the area, and that plane had come so close to the training jet that it sent the jet off course, killing the two pilots. It's also possible that he may not have been the first man in space, as all Soviet records were covered up. Two Italian brothers had set up a listening station and have recordings of other Russians reporting from space. Of course, the Soviet government has always denied that there were any others, and there's no way to prove that they were wrong. Gagarin even had a problem on re-entry. His module would not detach from the rest of his vehicle. And then, after it had detached and he descended through the atmosphere, he had to jump from 7 kilometers, as they hadn't developed the technology to land a craft successfully yet. The Russian state lied about this and said that he had landed. Otherwise, there are questions around whether the flight would have been permitted in the records in the first place.